Welcome everyone to another belated edition of Drunk Agile. With me as always, I was going to say something rude, but with me as always is Prateek Singh. Um, Hi, Prateek.
Hi, how's it going?
Hi, good. My name is Daniel Vacanti. We are glad you are with us. Prateek, what are you drinking?
Oh, I've gone back to the Glengarry. It just felt like one of those heavier nights. Uh,
One of those nights.
50,
Yeah,
yeah, 58.3% sherry cask. Yeah.
yeah, we're getting a cold front move through here. It's getting down, I think, to 69 or something like that.
What?
Yeah, I
I,
know.
I have to go dig out my parka.
So that means that
Yeah.
it is whiskey drinking night. Since you asked, I'm drinking. I'm going with the Blair Athol. I've been working on this for a while,
Yeah.
mostly because I've been switching over to bourbon and old fashions recently. So, but you can see we'll get through this. God willing, we will get through this. Um, tonight's topic. I hate to introduce this way because this is being recorded and I am on tape here, but I will say this for the record. Prateek actually had a good idea. I know maybe I should have
Should,
warned
we
all of
should
you to
we
sit
should
down
stop
first.
recording right now. Stop recording right now.
Warned all of you. Make sure you're sitting down before I say this. But yes, Prateek actually had a good idea. And um it's something that we want to spend a little bit of time talking through because for me it brings a whole different perspective to maybe something that you might be familiar with and might know and love. So do you want to say anything by way of introduction or how should we get
Um,
right into this?
yeah, let's
Oh,
in a few prior episodes we have talked about just agility in general, agile in general. I believe I am on the record saying that I don't believe that agile comes from the Agile Manifesto, but for a lot of people, agile they do believe that agile comes from the Agile Manifesto. And if you do believe that, uh, we are going to dissect a primary part of the Agile Manifesto, and look at it with a new lens, at least.
I think for sure you are on the record of saying Scrum doesn't come from the
Oh yeah,
Agile
for sure.
Manifesto. I think
Yeah,
you've said that
yeah.
many times. But yeah, just Agile in general. So for maybe just as a refresher, in case I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully this works for the video. And sorry for those of you who are actually listening to us. You probably won't be able to see our visual aids here, but this is for anybody uh, who has read this, has seen this before. You know what we've got here is the Agile Manifesto. At least the four basic tenets. I don't know what the
Yeah.
first four. There are 12 principles I think behind it, but so we're only focusing on these first four. And every like I said, everybody kind of swears by these things, but it turns out, as Pratik is going to talk to us here in a second, that if you kind of take this line by line, you don't necessarily come to the conclusions that maybe the authors intended, or by the way, I don't know if we've talked about this. Another hypothesis is that the authors of the Agile Manifesto secretly knew all about flow. They just didn't want to be too obvious about it. Now, I don't know how good that hypothesis is, but anyway, so um Pratik, shall we do you
Yeah,
want to take this line by line
yeah.
and
Let's
we'll
do
kind of go
this.
this? Okay.
Yeah, let's do this line by line. Let's take the very first one.
Okay.
That's individual interactions over processes and tools.
So
Yeah,
okay. Go ahead. You
go
go
for
you
it.
go. No, you it's your thing. You go.
Yeah, there's um the big question for me with this is, how do you promote individuals and interactions? How do you promote that interaction between individuals? What is something that we can look at that would either force us to or encourage us to use a slightly lighter term, um, have more interaction between individuals? How do we get people to collaborate and work on the same thing together? How do we get these individuals to collaborate? Any ideas on that, Dan?
Well, I was just going to do the big reveal when you tell me to do
Yeah.
the big reveal. I of
Well,
course know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we give our audience a second to think about this. But like,
yeah.
what's like the biggest thing that you can do to 'cause there is one other thing I want to say, but to have as effective and efficient interactions amongst individuals. Um, shall we do
Mm.
the reveal? You want to?
Yeah, let's do the reveal now that people
Okay.
have had time to think.
And the answer is, of course.
Yeah. You constrain your work in progress. You control your work in progress. If you have constrained your work in progress to the point where you have fewer items in progress than the number of individuals on a team, by default, you're going to encourage interaction on those items because people have to work on those items together. People have to come together as a team to promote that collaborative spirit, that interaction between individuals to get work done. Um, Essentially, work in progress is what helps you get individuals and interactions going.
Yeah, I mean, I was when I was talking to somebody about this, I actually took it even one step further. Um, and I was talking, in Agile and in Lean, we like to talk about, people and how important people are, and respect for people and people. And what I think most kind of miss about that is, from my perspective anyway, probably the biggest way that you can show respect for individuals, respect for a person, is to not overburden them, right? If they can only handle one or two things at a time, don't give them 20 things, right? That for me, that is one of, if not the biggest sign of disrespect, is to show up every day and, with your team members, or, with other people that you work with or whatever, constantly try and throw more and more and more stuff on their plate. It's hard for me. I mean, I honestly, I guess I could think of some other disrespectful stuff, but in a professional setting, let's just say that way, for professionals, I think that's just one of, if not the worst thing that you can do.
Yep. So there you have it. While I was talking more of the interaction part, Dan's just brought in more of the individual part of it, both for individuals, both for having respect for individuals and promoting interactions. Work in progress is the key.
Okay. All right. So that's the first one. Individuals and interactions. Really, that's a focus on work in progress. So the second one is working software over comprehensive documentation. Okay,
Yeah.
Prateek. Well, what about working software?
Yeah, how do we get working software? How do we measure how much working software we're putting out there? And for a well-defined system, that is the metric we commonly call throughput. How many things are we getting out there? How often is with this new working software or updated working software hitting production, so that customers have it? That is measured by throughput. The higher your throughput, the more often you're putting working software out there. The lower it is, the less often you're putting working software out there. So the metric of throughput directly correlates with this agile. I don't even remember what these things are called, but
Yeah, agile
agile thingy.
thingies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's interesting to me is the hint is actually, in this original statement,
Yeah.
working software over comprehensive documentation. I think what they're if I was an author of the Agile Manifesto, I'd be saying, one of the things that slows us down the most is comprehensive documentation. And
Hmm.
not only does it slow us down, not only does it slow us down from the perspective of trying to get working software out the door, but then it also becomes a drag in terms of future updates. It's because we've got all this documentation, we don't necessarily want to change the software, because then we got to change all this documentation. That by very definition is going to impact your throughput. So if what you really care is about getting working software out the door, the flow metric you should be focusing on is throughput. I mean, to me, this one's fairly obvious, fairly fundamental.
It almost describes itself.
Almost. Okay, so those of you who are familiar with flow metrics probably recognizing a pattern here, but let's move on. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Prateek, what's the deal with
Yeah,
this?
we've this one we've actually, I think we've explicitly done a couple of episodes over. The it's not just that you want customer collaboration, it's also that you want frequent customer collaboration. You want frequent observation of customer behavior, and how long it takes you to get something to a customer, so you can get feedback, so you can observe behavior, so you can collaborate with the customer. That is covered by the metric of cycle time. From the point we start to the point something is with a customer and we're getting validation on it, we're getting feedback on it, that is a definition of cycle time.
Yeah, so just to double down on what Prateek is saying, I'm just gonna not to double down, but mostly repeat what Prateek is saying. And if you go back and you watch those episodes that we've done before on this, you will see we say over and over and over again. Most people think that cycle time. Oh, and that's a SILE time. It doesn't say.
Yeah, well, that's the modern spelling of cycle time.
That's the drunk spelling of of cycle
This is
time.
Drunk Agile after all. Yeah.
What, you think we write slides sober too? Anyway, most people think that SILE time is measured as the elapsed time to done. They think you measure cycle time to done, and while that's kind of true, while that's technically true, it's not really true. Really, when you hear Prateek and I talk about this, cycle time is actually a measure to first customer feedback. That's really what you care about. While yes, there's definitions of done, and while those things may be important, the reason you care about shortening that cycle time is because what you really care about is getting that feedback as fast as possible. And for me, feedback is just yet another a synonym for collaboration. If what you care about is collaborating with your customer, well, you know what? You better talk to them about what they think, what they like about the software, what they don't like about the software. And you can't do that if you're taking it 4 years to get it to them.
And the shorter that cycle time is, the more often you're going to end up doing that collaboration. So if we really value customer collaboration, we want to observe and improve this metric of flow, cycle time, however you want to spell
Whatever
it.
you want to call it. So we got yet. So is it SILE time or lead time now, Prateek? How long before this shows up on LinkedIn? I heard about this new flow metric called SILE time. How is that different than lead time?
Yeah. As long as it's not silo load or something, yeah.
Isn't that a bet we did with Carl Scotland one time? It's like
We'll make up stuff and put it in our presentations.
and
Yep.
see
Yeah.
if people even notice. Yeah. Okay, all right. Last but not least, last and certainly not least, is this whole idea of responding to change over following a plan. This, for my money, this is really the only agile thing in Agile, and it makes sense what you're going to say here, Prateek, about the flow metric that goes along with this.
Yeah, and for those keeping track, for those playing along at home, you know what the flow metric is that we're going to talk about. The one ring to rule them all, the one that we believe matters the most here. It's age. Think about it this way: the whole idea of following a plan is we already know how things are going to go. They're just going to go that way, and that's what we're going to do. Meanwhile, when those plans go awry, what's really happening is things are aging and growing a lot more than we expected them to. The earliest opportunity that we have, the metric that tells us the earliest that something is changing, is work item age. When something is aging way too much or way too early, that's what triggers us to respond to change. Work item age is your best friend when it comes to figuring out when you need to respond to change. For my money, that is probably the most agile thing you can do. As soon as this something starts aging too much, how do we take action on it? How do we respond to it?
Yeah, again, I really don't have anything new to say, so I'm just going to repeat everything that you just said. Yeah. So when we start work, we have some, or we should, at the very least, if we've studied our process, if we've studied our system, we should have some expectation of how that stuff should flow through the system. That's our plan, so to speak, that expectation of how items should flow through our system. But it's only by looking at aging on a regular basis, whether it's daily or whatever that frequency is, can we get, as Prateek mentioned, that earliest indication that, you know what, these things probably aren't flowing the way that we expect them to, which means, another way of saying that, which means something has probably changed. It's possible that something has changed in terms of our expectation of how this thing should flow. So what are we going to do about it? This is really kind of only the actionable, if you will, actionable part of the Agile Manifesto, is this idea of predictability as a verb, right? You have to do this every single day. Look at this stuff every single day, and take action when you see something's going awry. And aging is that best metric to do that. Again, we've said that till we've been blue in the face. So so the whole point here, if I can steal some of Prateek's thunder, is, if you truly want to be agile, the way that you achieve agility is by focusing on these things on the right. I don't know, what else do you want to say about that, Prateek?
Well, since we have walked through this and talked about flow metrics and how flow metrics are they directly correspond to these thingies in the Agile Manifesto. If you are currently working in a system that claims to be agile, but you're not seeing the agility benefits of that system. Sorry, had to clear that.
You get choked up. I know you get so choked up when you talk about this stuff.
So emotional. If you're not getting what you need out of that system, the thing to do is introduce flow metrics and pay attention to flow metrics. Not just look at them and go, oh yeah, their flow metrics are there. No, paying attention to them and taking action on them. With a Scrum, Safe, whatever you're doing, adding flow metrics to it is what will make you agile.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we press the recorded button, and we probably should have pressed that record button about 15 minutes earlier than we did, but whatever. I'll speak for myself. Prateek can chime in if he wants to, but you know what, my patience is growing fairly thin. Not that there was a whole bunch to begin with. With all these haters of flow metrics, because number one, they don't necessarily understand what the flow metrics are. But then, number two, we're not talking about metrics for metrics' sake. We're talking about, metrics to take action, to make your system better. How do you know if your system is better unless you have some objective measure of what's going on? We're just going to say, oh, well, it feels like, we should do this, or it feels like, well, good luck with that. I like my science to be a little bit more evidence-based. Thank you. So
yeah, if your current process is truly something that encourages inspect and adapt, what are you inspecting and how do you know that you're adapting? That's where these flow metrics really come in. And in fact, now that we're talking about these with reference to the Agile Manifesto, are you moving closer to the ethos of that Agile Manifesto? Are you inspecting and adapting towards that? These metrics will tell you. These metrics are the way to find out. And as we've said before, doesn't matter what you're doing right now. You're doing Scrum, Safe, XP, Kanban, whatever you're doing, these metrics exist, and it's an easy hack to start tracking them and start using them day to day to make your process more agile.
For me, that's good enough for the last word. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that. I think that's a good way to sum things up, personally.
Yeah.
So again, I want to say, for the record, the whole credit for this idea goes to Prateek. This was all here. You know, he slacked it to me what a couple.
Or blame.
Yeah, he slacked it to me a couple weeks ago, and I had to grit my teeth and say, yeah, that's pretty darn good idea right there. So thanks to Prateek for coming up with this. Love to hear your thoughts though. Do you agree with us? Do you not, or do you agree with him? I'll side with him. Do you agree with us? You know, tell us what you think. Is this right? Is this wrong? What thoughts do you have? We'd love to hear your questions. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave your comments on the video below. But until then, just want to say thank you so much for joining us in this video, and we hope to see you in the next one. Cheers, everyone.
Yes.
See you soon.